lot of plumbing chattels you're going to have installed behind something already finished, and by the time you discover there's a problem, it's a nuisance to correct.
Yeah, no, no, of course. This is what I mean. You got to be careful about what, right, with the Asian product, and yeah, those guys always show up and they're always there. But even doors, man, I ordered doors. Okay, I'm gonna give you an example. I ordered a container of doors, right? I don't know, like 1,500 doors or something like that. And on, you know, you got to be very specific of what you're asking, and if you don't ask with specificity, then they're going to give you something. So I asked for an 18-inch door. This is the style I wanted. Well, they changed the rail size on some of the doors, and I have, I don't know, like 100 doors that the rail size is so narrow that I can't fit a passage handle on it.
Okay, what's the rail size? I
Like the, like on a decorative, um, the side. So like like on a shaker, you have the middle panel that's sunken in, and then the piece that goes all the way around, like the top and the bottom of the door.
yeah,
That
okay.
it needs to be a certain width in order to fit a passage set on it.
Got it. Yeah, okay. So this was
Right?
narrower.
This was narrower, not much narrower, but narrower enough that now it's problematic.
So your handles will look offset.
The handles won't, like, they'll overhang the side of it.
Oh, yeah. That's problematic.
Right? So now I can only utilize those doors in a scenario where I don't need an actual passage set. Right? So I can put a little knob or like a kitchen handle and get through it, but I can't put a proper passage set or a proper, right? It's just not big enough.
Interesting.
And what do I do?
Because you know
So
what?
what do I do? I'm like, okay, hey guys, what the hell? Why are these rails off? And they're like, oh, sorry, Mark, you know what? I don't know, for whatever reason, production, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, so what do we do now? And they were like, send us the doors back and we'll send you the new ones. Right.
It's like they saying something as if that was perfectly reasonable.
And it is. If I was
Mm,
Home Depot or Walmart and I have containers moving back and forth all the time, then it doesn't matter. They'll do the exchanges. They'll cover it. You got two damaged doors, Mark? No problem. Just send us the doors. We'll give you new ones back. Problem is,
so
pretty far.
so while we're on the topic, by the way, I find China to be very fascinating as a consumer of product, and also just as like they have some crazy interesting things going on, and it affects our market in terms of how we compete. Um, there are one of my friends, he shops China products all the time, and he was telling me about how their knockoff market is very large, right? And they do this in every respect, whether you're talking about fashion industry or even if you're talking about just product that we need here in North America. I mean, they knock off like even just you can't necessarily patent it, but just certain designs of things, like whether it's our flooring materials, doors that we're using, any type of construction material. If they can make it over there and get it to us cheaper than it cost us to do it here, they will do that, and then you'll be able to purchase it. But what a lot of them do is they will have agents over there that will essentially do quality control checks, and then it'll allow you to import, because that's one of the, you just illustrated like a huge problem when it comes to buying things from overseas, and after something gets manufactured is the quality control that needs to happen. Like even bigger manufacturers, for example, Nike makes all their shoes over there. However, what they do is they have somebody who does quality control checks. If something doesn't meet the quality control, they essentially reject the whole batch. And what happens in China is that they just circulate these unaccepted, slightly off batch Nikes. That's where you have all these knockoff shoes, right? So your batch of doors, if that was incorrect, they would have still probably sold it locally or sold it to some other maybe Asian country where they would have had these like odd sized doors, because they're going to go somewhere and somebody will buy them for the right price.
No, exactly.
So
So like right. So they like, but now if I get to that next level, which I'm trying to approach, well then I'm moving product all the time, and then okay, well it's okay. I'm gonna order another batch. You know what? Throw those doors on. Give me a discount on the doors. I'm not gonna send you these doors back. It's not worth it. I'm gonna just throw them out or whatever, right? Or I could discount the doors, right? Because I know I'm gonna get a discount on my next batch because they messed up or whatever it is. But until I get there, until you get to that size, and I'm talking about containers, right? Like a guy ordering 50 faucets, I'm not gonna give a shit about you, man.
Yeah.
All the faucets are exploding. Cool. Go try to get insurance on that. Go try to sue them. It's not gonna happen.
No.
Not over 50 faucets.
By the way, how much did you cost? Actually, I'm just curious to know, and I don't know if this is like actually, yeah. So I'll just tell you what they were selling. They were selling these doors at like $40 a door. Shaker doors, single panel, right? And you had to buy a minimum of they said 32 doors per skid, and that with the current distribution they're able to sell them like that. And they had some models of the doors, and they looked standard.
No, the doors look good, but that $42 is $42 per door USD, not including shipping, not including delivery.
No, so yeah. So there's probably not arrived here. So $42 plus the shipping and customs and anything else.
The shipping is what kills you. It almost like typically it'll double the cost of anything you buy in China.
Interesting.
From my experience. And if you go plain, so that's like going ship, right? And the ship is going to take you 3 to 4 months minimum to get here, right? Because you're going to order it. Okay, so I'm going to order, let's say 1,000 doors, because I've gone through this process. So I order 1,000 doors. They start production, and when production's ready after a month, they're like, okay, your doors are ready. And then they will put it on a boat, and it's going to come to our docks in Montreal or Vancouver, wherever you're getting it docked. And then you got to organize somebody to bring it through the border, right? Like they stay on the China side, I guess, like the custom side, and you need customs clearance. It's like a bit of a process of like how to clear that product so that it's allowed into Canada. And there's rules and regulations on every product. There's different variations. So you need to get an import-export license in order to cross that bridge, or pay a broker to do that bridge crossing. And then you got to organize a truck, or get them to organize a truck, which if they're organizing it, they're obviously going to tack on fees to it too for their time, and they're going to organize the truck. So they'll organize it to get off of the truck and they'll get delivered to your door. But if they're doing all the work to your door, then you're going to pay all the fees along the way.
Okay, and then
$42 sounds so sexy until you got to order it, and then you're like, oh shit, oh this fee, oh this fee. What do you mean an import-export license? I don't got one of those. How do I get one of those? Now I got to go figure all that stuff out, and then when you finally get the product, you're like, shit, I didn't tell them about those rails, and now they're freaking like this instead of like this. And they will, even like on some of the doors, like the wood that they use. So when we were like shaving some of the doors or sanding some of the doors, you couldn't cut it down because the wood that they used in behind the one layer of finished sides, like the top sides and the bottom, it is cheap wood. Or there'll be gaps, they just fill them in and then they sand them. And then when you get it and you have to shave down like a quarter of an inch to fit that door, it's going to be a lot of work to fill in and clean up that door.
So is there anything then that you would recommend, let's say on a smaller scale, something that you would use long term?
Small scale, I would say anything from Amazon is the best you're going to get. Because that's somebody importing it at a big scale, putting a small margin on it, and distributing it. Right? Or it comes direct from the factory. Anything like outside of that, like, unless anything that's tiny, like lightweight stuff, like closet shelving clips, or maybe like door handles, like knobs for kitchens. You can get some really sexy knobs for kitchens. You can order a box and get it flown over here, and it'll be probably less than a typical price of going to get a nice, those handles are like $10-15 a handle, like kitchen handles. You can get those down to a very small cost.
But I imagine you have to be getting them down by 70% at least in oror for it to be worth it.
I mean, depends on your volume, right? And what the MOQ is, right? The minimum order quantity. That's gonna like kind of build, like, so my mugs, for example, my mugs I got from China. Those Yeti mugs that I have. Those I got, they worked out to like $12 a mug landed. custom made. They're like Yeti mugs. Like I can't beat that. I can't go get that anywhere else. Right? I can't buy a
You have to
Yeti
order
mug
like
for
a
12 bucks.
thousand.
Yeah, but I had to order a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, because I do wonder all the time. Like I think I've told you before how I visit my family in Singapore and I look at the construction that they do over there, and they have a lot of interesting construction practices, and it seems and they get everything from China.
Yep.
And it seems like some of the things that they're doing over there can also be implemented here. I'm not sure why we don't use some of the construction material. For example, they don't use quartz countertops over there, or they don't use even the veneers. They use some kind of a tempered glass with a countertop with like a finish, and it looks amazing. It's very thin. It makes me a little nervous, but no one's ever said they've broken it. So, but they use this the same way we do the quartz countertop and the quartz backsplash, right? And that's very popular now. So they do something similar, and it looks really great in apartments. I'm wondering why we don't use that here, and whether or not they just import that en masse from China.
I think because a lot of products take forever to make it here. Like even from an R&D, like for me to like let's say I want to get, I don't know, like this remote, right? Like this remote, I want to get this replicated. It's got to go back and forth probably at least 5 times, right? Of me shipping my idea to them, whether it's through WhatsApp or whatever, and then they're going to ship me a sample, and then I'm going to open this up and I'm going to find every piece where they cheated. And then I'm going to be like, hey, okay, this and this and this has got to change. And they'll be like, okay, we'll reproduce that and send you another sample. And that takes so long, the back and forth, for it to come here. Plus, there's like the health and safety aspect of some of the stuff, like anything that you have to cut, right? That could produce dust or like micro particles. That stuff you got to be really careful for, because if it's got lots of formaldehyde or like any lead paint or like some sort of bad chemical, you got to make sure like you're mitigating that risk to yourself. Like how many toys have come over here and, oh, there's lead paint recall on the toys. If your kid put this in his mouth, like he might get sick. Right? Like, and that happens at big companies, right? Not just little companies, like big companies. So it's very difficult to vet and bring stuff over. Like you're saying, there's brokers out there that make an entire living just making sure that people are doing the right work. That's the problem.
You're shattering my dreams of importing cheap materials over from China.
Look, I'm telling you, you can do it. I'm just telling you, it's not easy and simple and as cheap as you think. Like once you get to a certain volume, it does. Lightweight stuff is probably best, right? Like lighting fixtures, right? But then you're stuck on one lighting. You gotta use that lighting fixture for a year or two, right? At least if you're gonna go through all of that volume. So it does become worth it, but it doesn't become worth it until you're moving a high volume product. Even like right now, I am trying to source drawer slides for my cabinets, right? But I need to make it the exact same or close enough to what I'm currently using. Because if a boat gets stuck or I get a defective batch, now what do I do? Right? I got to be able to pivot. My drawer slides can't just stop. Right, and I can't wait for 3 months for the next batch to come back in, right? So it is a little complicated, and it depends on like your need and your desire and like how fast. But you kind of need the volume in order to like make it worth, a container full of door hinges.
Okay, so yeah. So no, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it can be done. You did shatter my dreams of importing.
No, I'm telling you, lighting fixtures. I would say like for kind of like what you're doing and stuff like that. I would say light fixtures, door handles, like cabinet handles, and even passage sets, stuff like that. That is small, but they're high quantity items in a house, right? In a house, how many door handles are you going to go through? Like 10, 20, right? Kitchen handles, you're probably going to go through 50 handles per unit, right? That you guys are renovating. That, okay, now, minimum order quantity is 500. Okay, that's not that many units, right?
Yeah.
But if your minimum order quantity is 1,000 and it's like your bathroom fixture, well, now you got to renovate 1,000 units to get rid of that 1,000. That becomes a high number.
There does seem to be a lot of smaller wholesalers around the place, and it seems like they only maybe specialize in a couple of items, And I'm wondering how they do it. They're always Chinese or Middle Eastern people, and I feel like they just have some family connection somewhere that's doing something. That's what it seems like.
It
I don't
is.
know.
So one of the guys I work, there's a guy I work with here. Um, he's an Asian guy, and he has family, and he grew up in one of these manufacturing neighborhoods. That's where his family's from. So he has a guy over there. But even he will go and he'll fly there and he'll take my products, my designs, my ideas, and then he'll go do all of that legwork for me, and then he'll bring me back a sample because he'll go fly there and do it there on the fly, and he can do that. Like that's the best way to do it is if you're actually there and you see what's happening. Especially because a lot of the Alibaba guys and all of that, they're actually brokers brokering a deal on behalf of a facility. They're not actually the facility.
Yeah.
So you're like,
agents.
yeah, they're the agents, right? So the guy I'm dealing with, he's better than me doing all the legwork myself because he's going to do all the legwork and he's going to give me a better price than I could if I did it all the work myself. So having the inside guy is the key to this.
And that's what I'm thinking. Like when I mentioned before about my uncle doing developments in Singapore, he's already consuming all this product, and I'm just trying to think whether or not we're at a volume, or even whether or not I can collaborate with anyone that would merit some kind of synergistic benefit to importing a certain type of product, because I do consider the construction practices that they have over there to be advanced. The only thing that they don't consider, which is different from us, is our 4 seasons. We have to contend with harsh winters, whereas in Singapore, it's literally summer all the time. So they don't have to deal with that. But certain indoor things, like even when it comes to, see, tiles, I feel like are becoming less and less popular. But, vinyl technology is becoming more interesting, I would say. And even when it comes to flipping houses, burring houses, building apartments, there's no reason why at least one enterprise can't be using the same materials. How much can you cost down on that? And then per project, how much would you save? But as I'm even saying it out loud, it does sound like it's probably, like, I feel like you need a very large downline to distribute this product already for it to be worth it.
Well, that's why I do what I do, because my building clients, I get their pipeline for the year. So like when I meet with them and I'm like, okay, what's your 2024 outlook look like? And they're like, okay, we're gonna fill in our forecast for the buildings. Like this is how much product we're gonna eat up. And they use the same product. So if I know they're gonna eat up, 3/4 of my product, maybe they don't. Maybe they only eat up half of it. But I know next year they're going to eat up the rest. You need to have that pipeline built in, and which is why I'm moving into the development projects as a supply side, because once I sign that contract with that developer, I'm guaranteed 200 units, 300 units, 400 units. Then that opens up the import pipeline, because I know if the MOQ is 5 and I'm getting these things at like a 60% discount, 70% discount, it's totally worth it, because I've already sold enough that even if the rest I don't sell, I've covered that cost. And now I can sell them onesie, twosies, low amounts, low volumes to everybody else, right? Like, and still be aggressive with my pricing. Like I can supply you guys with an aggressive pricing and still make way better margins than if I bought locally.
Okay. This is very interesting, and that settles a few things that I was wondering from the building show. But yeah, definitely a little dream shattering. But that's okay. This is the thing about when you talk to somebody about this, and then you kind of have those aha nuances that you would have never thought about. Like honestly, the importing it, you already kind of like made it sound like, yeah, it's potentially such a mess, and all the savings that you might essentially have out of one solid purchase can get obliterated by the next one.
Yeah, you could lose it, right? Like, those doors, it sucked, but at least I can figure out a way to like use them. Like I was able to repurpose those doors that aren't going to work. But my next batch, I can't afford to make that mistake. So I'm like I'm always learning. Every container that comes in, I'm learning and learning and learning, and I'm slowly getting closer and closer and closer to the source, right? Like I got to the point like of using distributors locally here, and now I'm bringing from overseas, but I still got to get right down to building a relationship with the guy that actually owns the factory. And when I build that, then I've unlocked a crazy pipeline. but it takes time and volume because there's other people that are buying much more than I am.
Okay. Long journey ahead. Well, I mean, when you do sit down and buy the guy who owns the factory a beer, let me know.
Yeah, like I've even like that's why I'm using this Asian guy that I'm working with because he's local, so I can go over to him and talk to him, have a conversation with him. Him and I can go have a beer, and then he goes and deals with the down the road thing, and like we've been chatting, and he's like if we can build enough of a pipeline at some point, we can build a factory out there, and I was like, I'm in.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Right? That's gonna get me there faster, right? There's no way Latino with a taco hat is gonna go to China and start shaking hands with people. It doesn't, man. They are a very protective community of their. They want to keep the money together for their people.
Well, I mean, they'll want to take pictures with you.
Everybody will, for sure. I'll be the tallest guy there, man.
Exactly. Oh, that's cool. Anyway, no, I appreciate that. That actually answers like a lot of immediate questions that I was having about that, and it does seem like it's easier instead of trying to do these things yourself to just partner with somebody who has exactly what you need and volumize that so that you can maybe have more favorable margins.
Yeah, you just gotta slowly
becomes challenging.
Yeah, you just gotta slowly chip it away, right? You can't. You're not gonna go from zero to a container. It's never gonna happen. Right? And even those guys are like, oh, order 32 doors, and then we start talking to them. Like that's just it's kind of like Instagram. It's a hook, man. It's a hook. They're like 32 doors, and you're like, okay, cool. You go through all this stuff. You're hot excited about the pricing and everything like that, and then they're like, actually, our minimum order quantity is 100, and you're like, whoa, I thought we were doing 32, and they're like, yeah, we can't do 32. Sorry, we got to do 100, or we can't do it at all. And I was like, but your Alibaba thing says 32, and they're like, yeah, but that's not what we're doing. And I'm like, fuck. Right? Like, what would I do? I just spent like 5 hours with this person designing and building this whole thing, and then all of a sudden they're like, I need you to order 100. And you either commit or you're out. Like, one or the other. Either you wasted your time or you're going to waste way more money than you anticipated.
Yeah.
And they got you.
So that's annoying.
Click here for more. That's what they're doing.
Okay, so then give me a piece of advice here because I am wondering about this. I get all these ads all the time for all this Chinese product, and it looks very like potentially like it could be good. I'm thinking to myself, some of it has to be pretty decent. Specifically, though, for our management, we're like I said, we're doing about 800 tenancies that translates into a couple hundred separate locations. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, a lot of these properties definitely need some retrofitting and some outfitting. There's also some grants that come into play when it comes to improved heating and stuff, whether you're improving the exterior or anything like that. And I was thinking that, if I could coordinate, for example, like on scale, a bunch of buildings to be done, let's say you do roofing material and you retrofit all the roofs, or even if you just do the outside where we can do some kind of China offers all these exterior kind of foam products that look like stone or something like that, and they're insulating. And if you can even order a bunch of these and you can line up a contract of like a couple hundred buildings, then it might be worth it to just do something like that.
Yeah, pipeline.
Yeah, and then it's just a matter of like finding the right product that you're not going to arrive, and then it's like the clothes you order from China, you wear it and it looks like crap.
Yeah, like what do you do? What do you do when that product the paint comes off after one winter? You just installed it on 200 units.
Yeah, no, that I think that'll be a little bit challenging for sure.
Right, like
it's
it's easy, right? Like yes, in all concepts, it is absolutely 100% a simple process. Really, at the end of the day, you've nailed down the process. But now layer on the risk. What does that risk look like to you? Your business, like your reputation, right? Like you're ordering a lot. It's not a little bit. Regardless of how cheap it is, you're gonna affect a lot of clients if this thing goes wrong.
Yeah. Okay. So then, if you were to recommend, if somebody because we've had a few people ask us what we thought about this stuff, and the truth is we don't know enough about it. But if you were to recommend that anybody wanted to start something like this, what would be the easiest product in construction to start with if they were going to import something in bulk?
I would say smaller fixtures, so like bathroom fixtures would be pretty good. Because weight is a big factor in this thing. Weight starts to factor in cost. So like bathroom fixtures, Yeah, bathroom fixtures. It's pretty easy. It's like there's not too much dynamic to it. Really, at the end of the day, right? Like it's a piece of aluminum. It's going to get mounted on the wall. You got to like really look at the mounting mechanism or how they use it. And that's not that complicated. That's an easy one, I would say, that I would order. You could order 100 of them, right? You're gonna order the sample one, and it's funny because you order the sample one and it's like 5 times the cost, right? Like if you can get them for $1, if you're ordering the sample, they're gonna be like $50 for the sample. You order the sample, you get the sample, you look at it, and you're like, okay, this is pretty good. Okay, and then then you make your bulk order, and then like you'll get rid of those, right? And they're easy to get rid of too if you need to pivot or get out of it, right? Like you could Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, create a drop ship from Amazon. Like there's options to get rid of it. I would do stuff like that, low risk. Like what happens if these things go to shit? It's not that much of a big deal. Door handles, like I said, kitchen knobs, like nice kitchen knobs and stuff like that. I'd say the easy ones would be that's where I would start.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. So I guess it's all these things that you see people on like Instagram or TikTok talking about the drop shipping, whatever, and how to use this, and there's all these like kind of sometimes gimmicky products that people will sell. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, like I wouldn't import vanities. That's for damn sure. Like I don't even import vanities, even though I know you can get vanities for cheaper. I'm going to at some point, but there's like there's some you gotta have a method to your madness. It can't just be like it's so tempting to go buy it because it's so cheap, right?
Yeah. And that's where I think people start when people start getting to real estate, they start buying apartments, they start burying them, they start flipping them, doing whatever. It's very easy, I feel, to get distracted by all these things because you look at how much you spend on kitchens. Kitchens is a big one, right? Where it can be a relatively hefty cost. Like I don't think it's that bad, but when they tell you how much their bottom line acquisition cost is, it makes you think and wonder. But the question is it some of these other products, they're not one to one. Like there's some suppliers that will offer you a product that is comparable to IKEA, where it's just the assembly. And IKEA kitchen cabinets, those are not like the way kitchen cabinets are made. They're more like dressers masquerading as kitchen cabinets, right?
Yep. And they're like the lightest things. They're not built for the weight and the beat up, right? IKEA's there's a whole documentary. IKEA's designed as throwaway furniture, right? So what makes you think that a company that's built on throwaway furniture, like that they are causing a massive problem on Earth, that your kitchen is going to be a long-lasting kitchen?
Yeah. No, there's something to be said about that. But
Right?
people don't care. People don't care. We live in a disposable culture where everybody, wants to
That's a problem.
do something like that, throw it away, right? And
Yeah, and IKEA's great for the retail market, and I think they've done a good job of being that throwaway furniture kind of product store. But like for a rental property, like flips, 100% I would go cheapest as possible. Who cares? It's not going to be yours after you sell it. But like anything that you're holding and you're going to end up property managing, you don't want it to be something you can't get. And IKEA switches hardware all the time. Like they change their mechanisms. You know why? Because then you can't go back and buy the old stuff. You can't repair your old stuff. You got to buy the new stuff. Got to buy at least a whole new box. Can't replace the part. You got to. We don't make that hardware no more. Sorry.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's a pain.
It's by design, right? They have analysts that are doing the numbers on the volume they've sold and how many of these brackets have gone out and like what the lifespan of these potential brackets are, and then they're like, okay, cut it from the line and switch product, and then they're gonna reap maximum returns. They are doing that. This is not a little company. These companies are professionals and spend tons and tons of money on analyzing how they could recreate that dollar.
Okay. All right. No, that this has at least for me been very insightful because now at least it gives me a little bit of like a reality because everybody's always getting distracted by the shiny object. Like I hear those kind of prices and it starts to get me thinking like, oh yeah, this is possible. I can collaborate. I have connections in Asia. I can start to leverage this. We have like this many people, in the real estate community. We can supply them all, right?
Look, I'm trying to. It's not easy. It's complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, we should be supplying you guys kitchens. I'm sure we could crush your kitchen guy out of the water.
That's interesting because you know what? So far our kitchen guy does crush everyone else under the water, and same thing with our countertop guys. Like anybody who we introduce them to, like our kitchen guy will beat IKEA by like 30%. I think.
I could beat IKEA. Beat IKEA all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, I think a lot of people can beat IKEA. And as long as you know what you're getting, IKEA. The only time I think it's very interesting what they make is when they come up with it's the products that they sell with their intelligent storage things. A lot of purposeful and intentional things. You can buy things that fit their designs exactly. So that's the only time I find IKEA to be really beneficial.
But what if you had like a CNC machine and you could make any design you wanted? I don't now have to manufacture the accessories. I just got to manufacture the box that the accessory fits in.
And that's the thing. If you technically could build things to fit the IKEA storage things,
I
that
can.
ends up yeah, okay, there you go. Okay, so yes, you should be outfitting us and you should all be outfitting all of our students who need this stuff. Okay, so this fosters another conversation that we're going to talk about later.
Yes, 100%.
All right. Someone's asking a question.
How can we get into this property acquisitions and start from scratch? That's a good question. I feel like you're more in that professional department. I would say talk to Ping and join their free class would be my first.
Yeah. Actually, if you are interested in something like that, you should definitely join. Right now, there was just the first day of an 8-week session. Where we're teaching some of the basics about this type of thing. So if you want to join that, definitely, I'll give you some information about it and connect you so that you can get into that.
So the next one you guys run, Andrew, let me know because what I want to do is create some, like I guess propaganda around it within the community. Like I have access to a server shop which I haven't opened up yet. But on the server shop, people could buy stuff or like digital downloads, even free stuff. So we can do free guides, free thing, and we can even do like like a free ticket to the property hustlers, and then they can go in the shop, buy it, and then like kind of like get a ticket to join the community. Like it's just a way to like kind of not sell it, but like allow them access to it, and it'll be on our shop all the time. So when you do the next one, and you could like sell them out, that way you fill enough spots or whatever. So, but just it's just another way to market it in this community that I think we're at 300 now, close 297 to what are we at? We're close 297.
Yeah. No, there are for sure a lot of synergistic opportunities there.
Yeah, and we can. I think we can definitely market some of your stuff, and that's my goal for this, right? Like I know but like I'm here to help promote everybody and build this thing together.
I think even in the current one, because it just started, I'm sure we can actually put something in there that would be valuable for you to say something there. There's a lot of questions that people have, especially when it comes to materials, because real estate investors across the board, landlords, it doesn't matter who they are, if they're even in the construction business, there's a lot of questions when it comes to the materials, where they're coming from, and how they use them, because this is where you can save money. We tell people overall that you can save 30% as long as you can tighten up your operation. Overall, you can save 30% on your construction project, where people who are looking to quit their jobs, if they're spending like $150,000 on a project and you're doing 2 or 3 projects a year, that's almost $100,000 that you can save if you're doing $100,000, and renovations will typically run you 150. So if you get involved, you cost down on the project 30% on a project, you're gonna be making your salary by doing 2 to 3 projects. So people want to quit their jobs, want to get into real estate, get a little more involved.
No, yeah, for sure. I agree with you completely, right? Like there's ways to save money, and it's funny, like some of these investors, they're like, oh, but I really want to do black because it's sexy, and I'm like, okay, well that's gonna cost you more money. Like you could just stick with chrome or brush nickel because that's more widely available as like handles and everything. Like just stick with those colors, and you could save some money. But you really want black? Okay, well then, the opportunity's out there. Like just gotta understand, right? And I get black and stuff like that if I'm doing a flip or a sexy Airbnb for just a standard cookie cutter rental. You don't need to be sexy anymore. There's not enough apartments available. Sexy is you don't need it.
Yeah. No, it's it's definitely something to balance out. But again, people need to know like where to go for this. And honestly, even from the people that we do have in the networks and our extended networks, there's no reason why we cannot why we cannot synergize everybody's efforts. Like people shouldn't be within the community, people shouldn't be buying from different people. Like contractors have relationships and they'll want to do it, but real estate investors, if they have their own suppliers, their own design, and they want to, keep doing that, there's no reason why they can't focus where they're consuming from.
Yeah. No, I fully
So
agree, man. I think that's well, that's my target. Like even contractors, I've had some contractors. They're like not even have a conversation. They're like, sorry, I have my kitchen guy. I'm good. And I'm like, okay, but what if my kitchen guy could be better? Or what if I'm overall better? Like you're not even gonna give me the opportunity just because. And I get it, but like there's contractors are stubborn. I mean, like I think we all know that. There's contractors that have been working for me for like 5-6 years, and they still believe they own their own contracting company, which they do. Technically, they do, but they rely on me for all of the work. So,
mm, they own their own company according to the CRA. So
good for me, tax wise.
yeah,
No
exactly.
CDP and EI.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think that will be interesting. So for sure that'll be something to do. But yeah, Samuel, if you do want to know more about that thing, message me on Instagram. I don't know if it's on the website because we essentially ran a campaign and we drew people in who were interested in it based off of certain interests. So if you do want to connect with me about something like that, I'll shoot you in, and you might be seeing Taco again because I'm gonna try to get him in to talk about some things that will probably interest this group of people. So I think that'll be good. But yeah, in terms of all of that, that's interesting because, well, actually, I would love to pilot this if you're talking about outfitting us on some of the stuff that we're doing. I'm assuming that there are certain, like Costco probably, or maybe not. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's probably certain materials that are like your bang for buck for price to quality ratio, right? That you use, and that's probably like when you're not pouring your own taste into it, and you need things to be good and effective, and there's a difference between houses that are pretty that you're going to sell and someone's going to take care of the product versus houses that are going to be rented and you need them to be strong, and it doesn't have to be the prettiest ever. It just has to stand the test of time. Like we can run something like that, but we do have a project going on with one student where he's going to be soon approaching the finishing stages, so I think that would be a good opportunity to test something like that and see how that
man,
works.
we can do it like for us. I just met some clients today that they have two apartment buildings, one that they're going to close on in January, and one he's got a vacant unit ready to go. And he was like, "Can you come out and take a look?" And I was like, "No, first you're going to come to the shop, and we're going to design and build out your spec. What is your reno going to look like before we start your reno? So then I can properly budget what your project looks like." So I have all of their selections now picked and chosen, and I went to go look at the site, and now I can give them a proper budget because I know what they want, what they're like, I want to make a pizza and be like, okay, well, what kind of toppings do you want on your pizza? And we're like, oh, I don't know, we'll see. Like as the bread starts baking, we'll figure out if I want pepperoni, or like I can give you a whole working budget on your project, and then you can add more toppings or remove toppings, but at the end, a pizza is going to come out.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll be very interested to see what that process looks like in terms of putting it all together. And like,
Yeah. I mean, let's co-pilot it, and even it'd be good to get feedback too, because like maybe there's a better way for us to penetrate newer investors, because I'm so used to apartment building guys that are
yeah,
pretty sophisticated, or at least have a good sense of what they want. But I don't do too much newer stuff, like from a supply side, right? Like a newer investor that we do the reno for, we're basically they're just holding our hand, and we're just kind of like showing them the ropes, and they're just like on a fast track class on like how we do things, and then they can like pivot, go left and right, and or replicate our product.
okay, got it. Okay, no, that's interesting because yeah, like there's the biggest I think thing that anybody doesn't like, especially contractors, they don't like going to places like Home Depot or any of these other places. It's always the travel time, and it's always the delivering and the sequencing of the products, right? The sequencing of the arrival of the products. If all that theoretically could be eliminated, that would actually be an area of construction where you can attribute huge savings.
what I do.
We're gonna be talking.
We
So
do
pretty much
three
everybody
packets.
listening.
We do three packets. Packet one is your paint, your trim, and your doors. Packet two is your floor and your kitchen, and then packet three is all of the little accessories.
See, this is the beautiful part, and it's hard. I understand why it's hard to do it at a small scale, but you can definitely do that with a community who's all buying more or less the same thing, and it's like a tailored menu. It's how like food industry will make like something like a certain food line cheaper.
Yeah, no, exactly, right? We have look, I've built this thing out, and then basically the benefit is you're gonna leverage the power of our buying power to you and your students. Right, that's what we do. Like I have a big clients. I'm trying to continue to buy for developers and work with developers who are buying 200. Well, instead of ordering 200, I could order 250 and sell 50 at a good price to you because the developer wants it next to nothing. But now I'm making more margin on the 50, but you're saving more money than you would have ever saved because you need the 200 to get that savings. So it's just like leveraging each other, man.
Yeah. Okay. No, we're gonna do that. So basically, anybody listening to today, just listening to how we're gonna spread out this empire and basically lean it into like the small to mid-sized real estate investor doing day-to-day projects.
We're gonna look. If you want, I'll even get the boxes printed and it'll say Property Hustlers.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need. No, we're not. Our egos don't need to be inflated or anything. It's okay. But yeah, no, definitely this is something that can be looked into because man, people are struggling right now. Things are tough, and people need to figure out ways to cost down and also generate money. The easiest way to keep money is to save it and control your costs. So wherever cost can be controlled, definitely do it. Your properties still need maintenance today. All these things need to be done. I mean, it's hard to beat the convenience of Home Depot when you just need something. But if you have the fortune of being able to plan something, that's where money's saved.
Look, we're like Home Depot, but just for real estate investors. Like I have, maybe like 3 floors fully in stock, but a lot of our stuff is only 1 to 2 days out for a lot of our stuff. Our kitchens are in stock. Like a lot of our stuff is stocked and ready to go. I typically hold about 10 to 15 units worth of stock for my existing clients. They don't go through 10 to 15 units a month directly. And everything else I'll just sprinkle out to all of the other stuff, other projects that I'm doing or whatever, and then we're eating through that volume on a monthly basis. Right? And then you and your team just get to leverage the fact that we're already doing that volume, and it's going to help us bump our volume, which is going to help us to continue to reduce rates and create better savings and synergies for us as a community. It's all about buying power, right?
Yeah, no, and this is where I want to figure out how we can plug that in because like even one of our students, he's doing a long flip right now on a triplex in Barrie. It's not enough units, however, there's no reason for him to be buying it from any random wholesaler.
No.
So,
Yeah,
exactly.
and Home Depot, he's buying from Home Depot. You should be buying from us. I'll save you 30% guaranteed all day long without even looking what you're buying.
There you go. Okay, perfect.
All
All
right,
right, Taco. That answered my questions.
Okay. I gotta go jiu-jitsu. I gotta go beat people up.
Okay, sounds fun. Have fun cuddling and
Yeah, I'm gonna cuddle. Basically, I'm gonna cuddle guys and be really close to my friends. Tell them how much I love them
exactly.
while hugging them to death. And yeah, and that's it, man.
Sounds
I
good.
appreciate these chats, man. Thanks for coming back Wednesdays. Yeah, it's gonna be like January. We have like a bunch of people wanting to do lots of lives and stuff like that. So I think we'll chat about it, but I think we're gonna create like a schedule and stuff, and then so that we're rotating who we're all speaking to and stuff like that, and then just continue to onboard different people. And like this is you started and you committed to this time, so this is like your Wednesdays, the Property Hustler show. I'm just here supporting you, but Wednesday you'll just be able, like, we can pull up guests. We're gonna have a lot of people lined up. A lot of the bigger guys, and then whatever day works, we'll be like, oh, if Wednesday works, we'll be like, okay, you and Andrew are gonna chat and you're gonna have your thing, and we've created templates for everybody, and it's gonna have like it's gonna be all your coloring and like very on brand for you guys, and then just with the grow kind of setup. I think that's my plan for it.
Sounds good. Okay, well, keep me updated, and we'll make things happen, man.
All right. All right, man. Take care. Thanks, guys.
Take it easy, guys. Bye.